Hey, what's going on guys? It's British Guy Gaming, and today I'm going to be doing a KOTOR 2 character or companion tier list. This is entirely my own opinion and based on some what other people have said online. And you know, I've spent a few hours on this game, so I think I know what I'm on about. But anyway, let's get straight into it. And starting off with Atton here, we are putting him into the A tier. And there are main reasons to this. He's one of the easiest people you can influence to turn into a Jedi. He comes as a scoundrel, which allows you to do sneak attacks, which is a very limited ability and allows you to get that extra damage into a fight. He also has his ability to revive himself after he's been knocked down, as long as he's not the last party member alive, which can really help swing a fight that you may be losing if he comes back, gets a few extra attacks in. He's also one of the few characters, in my opinion, has good solo sections in the game. It can take great leads, like in the Duxon Sith Tomb area. He also has the ability to improve the playable character's willpower and resistance by teaching him how to play Berserk in his head, which is obviously helpful later on, especially in Mandalore when you come against a bunch of Sith and other people that will be used a lot of force powers. The only issue for Atton, for me, is that he's held back by the fact that he doesn't excel at anything. He's good at everything, but he's not got the most health. He's not the tankiest. He won't hit the hardest. He won't dish out the most force damage, but you can always rely on him to do a job, and this is why for me Atton can't quite push into that S tier, even though he is one of my favourite companions to use. Secondly, we have Bao-Dur, which I'm going to put into the C tier, and even though he's again one of the first few companions you get, he's not the best for me. For me, a big con for him, he's always easily knocked down, and once he's out the fight, you've got more enemies targeting your other party members, which makes it harder for them to live. He feels more like a burden than he has been helpful. You are forced into using him on Narshadar as well, and like I said, there's a lot of enemies and a lot of fighting. He gets knocked down a bit too easy to make him that useful for me. His big plus, however, though, is that he does improve droid active use throughout the game, and obviously this improves your droids, makes them more useful, which can also be helpful in sections where you're forced to use them, or maybe you use them anyway and you enjoy them, and this will make them that bit better. He does have his remote, which acts as like a mini companion, but in my experience he tends to be useless. Never really noticed the damage he's doing or anything. He's just kind of there and he just goes beat, doesn't he? No point to him in my opinion. This is more of a neutral thing, but even though he can become a Jedi, which is really good, his skill check, his influence checks even, are quite hard to find if you don't know where they are, and it's easier if he's the only one in your party and he just kind of limits. And you'd have to go out of your way to get a Jedi, in my opinion, that isn't as good as other people. Finally, he also has the shield break ability, which it basically means he can just destroy enemy shields in one hit. But I've never found this ability useful, and again, he just always seems like a burden now. That's why for me, he can only be a C tier player. Next up, we have KOTOR, who for me is a D companion. You get him after completing the Narshadar quest or main story, and he doesn't seem to have a lot of pros, apart from the fact that he can float over mines, which means in the Duxon minefield he wouldn't blow them up, he wouldn't trigger them. That's really mainly his only pro. His unique ability where he can control droids is never really that useful, as you rarely come up against droids past Narshadar, except in places where KOTOR isn't normally about, such as the HK factory. He can help you avoid the big fight with the bounty hunter on Onderon, but this is a pro and a con, as it does help you avoid a fight, in that you do lose experience, and it also means you won't get a visa, which can either, depending if you're light side or a dark side playthrough, cost you credits or more light side points, which can be detrimental, you know, if you do a genuine playthrough where you're limited with how much levels you get and how high and low you can go with your light and dark sides counterparts. He doesn't really have many positives, and lucky not to be bottom tier for me. Last but not least, we have your favourite and mine, coming in at D tier, Disciple, or Mikkel, his actual name is. For me, he's just so horribly made. He's a really unlikable character. But not only that, he starts off as a soldier, which you're like, oh, okay, he'll be a soldier, turns to a guardian. Nope, wrong. Turns to a consular, which obviously is the worst jump you could make by having a lot of feats and having none. It just kind of makes him overwhelmingly weak in everything. Even though I do think he does have a high health amounts, which can be useful. He is, however, only female only, so unless you're playing a female character, you're not going to get him, which is why most people don't play females. But obviously, he's very easily switched to a Jedi. He takes up 2 conversations, so he could just be a very good consular, which has a lot of force powers, but for the most part, you're not going to be able to do that, and you're not really going to be able to enjoy him and get the most out of him as a character. And for me, he's just the worst of the worst for me, and that's why he has to come in his own tier in D. Next up is Handmaiden, and she is our first S tier companion. This is because she's very easily trained into being a Jedi, which is obviously something you want. She is a absolute tank. She can hit hard, and she can take a lot of damage. This can be good if you have weaker companions. She can soak up a bit of damage. Also dishing it out, which is obviously a very good thing to have. She goes from a soldier straight into a guardian, and these are very good correlating upgrades. She has a challenging solo section, but it's also very enjoyable. It's not like she's too weak to keep up, or the enemy's too strong. It's a perfect balance. The only issue with her is, unless you're using mods obviously, that she's only available for male characters, and if you're playing a female, obviously you miss out on what I consider one of the best 2 companions in the entire game. Moving on from a droid to a Wookiee, we have Hanharr in A tier. Now the reason Hanharr is an A tier is because he, like Handmaiden, is an absolute tank, and he's an absolute hard hitter. You combine it with his unique ability in Wookiee Rage, which is like the Sith Assassin Rage. He can take so much damage and dish out so much more. It makes him a really useful character that you can get early on just by doing the Nar Shaddaa quest. An issue with him is that he can't become a Jedi, which means he can't use force powers, so he can't, force storm a room out of existence. But he does come with 2 right blades, which are good weapons, and you could keep these on him and they last him till the end of the game. He is, however, only a dark side only character. If you're dark side, you'll get him, so if you're light, you'll miss out on him, which is quite sad because he's very useful and very tanky. He can also give himself and the playable character permanent boosts if you break his will, and this is very useful because it allows him to deal even more damage and be even more tanky on top of what he already was. And you may be saying, why isn't he an S tier companion? I say purely because he's not a Jedi. That really is what makes top tier companions. They can really get you out of struggles, and he's very limited to soaking up the damage and dealing one-on-one attacks, which is quite a hindrance, especially later on where you've got rooms full of 10, 20 enemies at a time. But he is definitely a top A player. Coming in at the top of B tier, we have HK47. Now he is a fan favourite. He's one of my favourites. He's got some of the best lines and the best quips in the game. Makes references to the first game, and is one of the reoccurring characters. He is the best range character in the game. If you ever made dual Mandalorian Ripper blaster setup, he'll rip through enemies that don't use lightsabers or can't deflect his blaster. However, he is hindered by the fact that his attributes are quite messed up in game. He's given 18 strength, and for a droid that has no melee offense, strength is a very useless attribute for him to have. You can't use it in any way, and it would have been better placed in something like dexterity, which would help his defense and his attack with blasters. But he does have a good solo section near the end of the game, which It's again quite challenging, just like Handmaidens, but it's very enjoyable, and you have choices there, which is nice, and it allows you to direct the story in your own way. Coming up next, we've got KOTOR 2 herself, Kreia, coming in as the second S tier companion. She has as much as she is a very critical person to the playable character, no matter what decision he makes, she's obviously the most useful. She gives bonus XP when she's in the party, and this scales up with her level, up to I think level 17, where she'll give out the most XP. She also does help improve the playable character throughout the game. When you talk to her, she'll improve your force points and your attributes, which is useful for making you stronger and helping you in other fights. She only has one hand, which, if she was reliant on melee attacks, like if she was a guardian or a sentinel, this would be a massive hindrance. But due to her being the best force user, due to her extremely high wisdom, it's very countered, and she can absolutely be the best player stroke companion in your party 9 times out of 10. But I know most people don't use her due to she's always giving you lessons and being critical, and even if you gain influence her in the same dialogue, you'll lose it. But you know, if you want a hard hitter who's going to clear out a room, light side or dark side, Kreia is absolutely your go-to pick, and this is why she's the second S tier character. Next up, we have Mandalore. Obviously, Canderous, so another returning character. However, he is only for me a B tier character. This is due to no fault of his own. He's obviously, just like Hanharr, very tanky and very hard hitting, and he's good with melee and ranged weapons. On top of that, he can also swap packages to make himself more viable in different situations. However, another big error, like I said with all the other ones that can't be Jedis, he can't be a Jedi. So obviously holds him back, he can't get force powers, which, like I said, endgame force powers are a big deal. However, he does have good solo section, well, not a solo section, but when you use him, his dialogue's quite filled out and he's quite an enjoyable character. However, he is in B tier for me because he is just like Hanharr, but just that bit weaker. He's just lacking what Hanharr has. But Mandalore is definitely a top B player and someone you should definitely be using every time you gameplay. He's useful in many sections and I'd definitely recommend him. Next up, we've got Mira, another B tier character that you get if you're a light side player on Nar Shaddaa, so she's who you'd get instead of Hanharr. She's obviously, once again, an easy trained Jedi, which is obviously a big plus. However, you do have to hold her levels quite a lot, which can make Nar Shaddaa, especially that fight against Hanharr in the arena, extremely difficult. This is obviously to maximise your use as a Jedi. You don't obviously have to hold them, but it's strongly recommended that you do. She does also have a leader ability when she's in the party not to trigger mines, which once again, like on Goto, on Duxon, this would be extremely useful. You'd be saying, why would I put it into B tier below Hanharr if she's a Jedi and I held Hanharr back because he wasn't? It's purely because for Mira there are so many other better Jedis you can use, and because she's limited to light side characters, I find her that she really isn't that useful, because I already have the people there around me that can be a light side Jedi better than her, like Atton and Kreia. But this is why she sits in B tier. Coming in at C tier is T3M4, and he is rounding off the C tier. Once again, he is a droid, and this obviously makes him a lot weaker compared to Jedis, Hanharr, Mandalore. He can be improved by the playable character if the playable character has good enough computer use and repair, but most of the times the playable character doesn't even have this, so he tends not to get improved. He can be improved by Bao-Dur, obviously, which is good, and he has good skills, which if you can bring him along, he can unlock a door or get through terminals quicker. However, there are obviously other characters like Bao-Dur or Atton who can actually do this for you, and like Atton, he could be in your party all the time, so you wouldn't have to swap people in and out. He is also, in my opinion, the weakest of the droids, par from remotes. So if I'm going to pick a droid, I'd rather bring KOTOR or HK-47 instead of using T3M4. Even though he is a returnable character, and he has a special place in my heart, but for me he's too weak to be a good companion, and this is why he rounds off C tier. Rounding off the end of A tier is Visas, I never know how to say her name. The blind Veraluca, the assassin that attacks you. You get her after you hit a certain level of light side or dark side points, or hit a high enough level. And she does help improve the playable character. She's involved improving his lightsaber training, which is obviously a massive pro, and she is a big help in the Nihilus boss fight. If you choose to sacrifice her, it makes him weaker and easier to attack. Just like Atton, she doesn't really have any real pros, but she doesn't have any real weaknesses. Or I say no pros, no overwhelming strengths. She's just good at everything. Also, I think as long as with her and Kreia, she has a unique sight where she can see your alignment. So if you're blue, your light side's red, dark side grey, you're in the middle. And she can actually train this to the playable character, and that way you can see who in the world's good, bad, or just plain neutral, which is a very nice ability to have, even though it's not that useful. But this is why, for me, she rounds off the end of A tier. Well, everybody, that is my KOTOR 2 tier list. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you have any opinions or disagreements, please leave a comment, and I'm happy to read it. And see how you feel about characters. Maybe you move some people up, maybe you move people down. I know no one's moving Mikkel, but that's just a given. But anyway, drop a like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.